Yes. Okay, now we're live. Well, that was a false warning. This thing's really fucky. But we're back. Schedule one. We haven't done a schedule one episode in a long time.
That's the problem with a podcast on this basis. I feel like the trips have to be pretty significant for us to make trip-based episodes. But for the most part, it's going to be new drug experiences. I mean, this is episode 11. There's only so many new psychedelics we can try.
Oh, really? It's 11. I put 10. God damn it.
I thought 10 was mescaline.
Yeah, that makes sense now. I'll change it later. Who cares? You know what episode number it is. But yeah, with this cast, if we want to do an episode weekly, we got to get high every week. And that's just not feasible and not good for you. But we did trip last weekend.
I think so.
So we were planning to take something else, but we didn't end up getting our hands on it. That's maybe for another. Maybe we'll see it down the road. Maybe not. Who knows? But
it's a real fucking mystery at this point.
We fell back on our second choice, and we were gonna do. We chose acid, do a little LSD. You know, you always have a little LSD hanging around, and why not? You know, it's always fun to do LSD trip. But
I just pulled my pants out of the closet, rummaged through them, found a couple tabs of acid. Thought,
you know how you have like pocket lint, pocket acid, similar stuff. But we were gonna push the envelope. We were debating how much we were gonna take. Your tabs are rated 150 micrograms.
Yeah.
Am I correct? So
you are.
They say things get super, super weird when you hit 400 micrograms. And
ever since I started looking into dosages of LSD, that's kind of like been my target. I don't think I'll ever go above 400. I can, one, confirm that, and two, I don't know if I'll ever hit 400.
It was crazy. So we take 2 tabs a piece, right? So 300, and then we split some microdoses. I think we got 2 microdoses a piece.
3 a piece. The microdoses were cut into 8 strips off of 1 tab, so they're about 18 micrograms a piece. Just round that up to 20. We each had 3 of those.
So we did 360. You probably say 350 is a safe bet. 350 a piece.
Yeah.
So 350 a piece. That's a lot of acid.
That's a decent amount.
I mean, fuck you up proper. That Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas for another cast of this channel. He drops 4 tabs. Who knows how much is on it, but there's probably some premium grade shit. I can only imagine what that dude went through.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like he was tweaking out and just mind fucked throughout the entire movie. Anyway, I'm sure he was on some decently high tabs of LSD.
But we know in our past experience, acid is an all-day endeavor. You don't take LSD in the afternoon and go to bed at night. So we decided to wake up fucking like 6 a.m. and we probably drop it at like 7 a.m.
Yeah, we drop it really early. We drop it and then start our daily routine of like taking a shower, eating breakfast, doing all that shit.
I remember fucking like dropping it, like having so much goddamn paper in my mouth. I usually I like to hold it on my tongue. I don't know. I don't like to swallow it straight off the bat. I feel like it hits me quicker if it goes through my tongue than in my stomach.
Oh, that's not a bad. I never considered that.
Gets to my brain quicker. But yeah, we drop it early. The forecast for that day was rain. Rain all day.
We were kind of expecting to play in some summer rain while tripping on acid, probably in the forest. That sounds like a kind of cool experience.
So I asked Kurt for some flip flops, like an old pair, because I didn't want to fuck up my shoes, and that was the first step up in this fuck up trip. That was our first. That was my first little fuck up. I should have stuck with my shoes. But The past is the past. Well, we got our shit together. We left pretty early. Like it was probably 8 o'clock when we left to like go on a walk, and
Yeah, definitely around there.
it was it was hot because it was Florida summer, but it was still like morning heat. It wasn't
Humid.
like
It
yeah,
was
it was humid, crazy humid. Like it would rain any minute, but it wouldn't.
yeah, massively. I don't want to exaggerate, but it was, I don't know, top
100%
15,
humidity.
like probably top 15% worst humid days I've ever experienced in Florida.
It was like swimming while walking.
It was, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Usually the psychedelics help with that, but we were on so much it was stressing our bodies.
Mhm.
So we get about I'd say about a half mile away, and I really start to feel it. Like it took a while to kick in, a lot
See,
longer than usual.
so yeah, that was the first weird thing. I don't know if when you take a lot, if it kind of, I feel like in what I've read, usually when people take like, I don't know, 600 micrograms, it hits them within 20 minutes. But
Mm.
I mean,
I
I
would
don't
say it
know.
probably
Yeah,
took
that was
45
weird that it
minutes.
took so much longer.
I would say about 45 minutes would be probably about a reasonable time. We after our initial walk, we usually take the same path, and this time we were like, whatever, we'll go the other way. We'll go an opposite way, and that was the second time we fucked up, foreshadowing. And so, I don't know why we thought going a different way would be smarter, but uh,
I just thought, fuck it. I wanted to see the cliffs before we just started making a big circle around campus.
so when we went the opposite way, it just fucked with my sense of like direction, and I just kind of lost the idea of where we came from. It wasn't the best idea, but I mean, it was cool to catch the cliffs before we were exhausted.
Yeah, so one of the things to take note when going this way, like on our way up to the cliffs, there are picnic benches that are on the sides of these cliffs. So you can have a fucking picnic there and your cliffside, and it's a great view. As soon as we see the first picnic table, we have to sit there and stop for a good couple minutes just to catch our breath. Um, we
I
usually, we usually while on psychedelics can just keep trudging on. We very rarely need breaks or we're too hot to keep moving.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude! Like the walk there was. I noticed something was off because I was like, I'm feeling tired, like early, and I'm thirsty. Like my throat was dry. I was like, damn, we shouldn't have smoked. And I was like, did we even smoke at all? I don't even remember smoking to set off the trip. I think
I
we
don't
did.
think we did.
Did we? I don't know. But I was like, God damn, I need something to drink. And when we sat down, I was like, holy shit, dude, something was like stressing my body out. We were tired, tired.
Hmm. Breathing really heavy, which we're probably only a quarter mile. I'd say like a quarter mile in. We usually walk for like 4 to 7 miles when we trip. So it's
Yeah, I
weird
mean,
that such a small amount has us this tired.
we sit there for a while and we look over at the cliff, but I mean, I wasn't tripping hard enough at that moment to see like crazy stuff in the trees or anything. I
Neither was
remember,
I.
I remember the trees were like funky looking a little bit, like they were a little foreign looking, but nothing like absurd going on. It was a beautiful like sight. I mean, it was
I,
it
I,
was
I wasn't
nice
even
looking.
I wasn't even having like things weren't looking funky. I was still very much in come up.
Yeah. Um. So afterwards, sitting out there in kind of the sun, we're like, "Fuck it, we'll go to the docks and walk down kind of a shaded path." And when we first get up to the docks, or the path that leads to the docks, the vegetation has grown immensely.
It is significant. It is the difference between beach and swamp.
It was swamp, like jungle swamp. There was flies all around. Like it looked like it had rained like a night or two ago. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Florida hot, humid, like jungle.
Florida swamp. That is what it was. It was just not great. I was not enjoying the walk. I didn't want to I knew you wanted to go to the dock, but as soon as probably 3 minutes into walking down the path to the dock, I knew I did not want to continue. So
I know, and I was like, "Nah, we gotta keep going, dude. You gotta keep moving, or the bugs will fuck with you more.
well, I mean, I
You
wanted
gotta
to
have them on the chase."
I I just wanted to turn around. Like that would have solved the problem for me.
I was really in the what? I was I was kind of in the acid kind of. It's not gonna bother me. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Like the bugs were just kind of doing their thing to me. Like I was kind of like in tune.
They
So
were harassing me.
I remember you fucking like popped your collar or something and had you like your ears. I guess they love your hair. You must have washed it with some like fucking peach nectar. But
Yeah, probably.
when we were walking down this path, I really started to get that change to the acid mindset. Now, but I'm starting to get into my monkey man sense, and I talked about this in the mescaline episode, kind of like the primordial sense, like I'm a human being, but I call that my monkey man, and and he comes out and he visits me, and, but I'm in my monkey man state, and I'm kind of just walking past the bugs in the jungle, and I'm seeing like eyes in the brush, like I'm looking for eyes, and I'm like making faces just where faces aren't there.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever experienced like the eyes before.
So I remember you telling me about this. The eyes I haven't. I've definitely created faces where they aren't, but I've never seen I've never seen like eyes peering at me.
Not like eyes peering out of the bush. So they're more like
No, I
just
know, but I've never gotten the feeling that I was being watched. I've never gotten the feeling that there was another creature just on the other side of the brush.
because you're inner monkey man, man. Uh,
Your inner monkey man's paranoid. That's why.
no, he's not paranoid. He's looking out for survival here. I'm set back to my most basic instincts. I'm trying to live. Uh, but I am like at any moment my inner monkey man is like waiting for a tiger to jump out of these bamboo bushes and like fight him off with a stick or something. Uh, but we walk down the path and we're booking it down this pretty long path. Just to get away from these fucking bugs. But at this one point, I feel like I'm walking in a dream. Like I felt like I've dreamt the same thing before. Like it's a
Hmm.
tropical like sandy walk on, and like the cabanas covering me. It was so like dreamlike. I mean, like I don't know if you've heard that song like by Billy Joel. Like it's kind of folky and like sounds kind of like I don't remember what it's called. It's something about a dream, but
Hmm.
it was definitely describing what was going on here.
That's interesting. So I definitely get in like that. I didn't get like a dreamy lucidity, but what was kind
Hmm.
of cool is I've seen pictures of people that like replicate with certain drugs, like the hallucinogenic effects of certain drugs in pictures using Photoshop. And I've seen tracer gifs of flies, and I've never gotten to see that in person. But during this trip, when those bugs wouldn't stop messing with me, one of the things I did notice is I was getting crazy tracers with the flies. It looked like wherever a fly was going, five more that were getting less and less visible were following it. I thought that was kind of cool.
I'll Google Tracer, see what it looks. Okay, okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Like I was seeing after images of the bugs that were flying around me, which I've never seen before. I thought that was kind of cool.
oh really? That's cool. That is pretty like crazy. Um, let me find where I am on my notes. But really, like we said earlier, we're exhausted, making our way down this path, and eventually we make it out of the bush and get onto the rock, and away from all the damn bugs. I mean, it was pretty nice just to like fucking. I mean, I had to lay down instantly because I was so tired, but it
Yeah,
was nice
I was enjoying myself, but I couldn't allow myself to
to
unwind. I
get
kind of
comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of I stood there for a lot, just like staring at things. I was watching the water and the tree line and looking at the wood on the dock. That was pretty cool, but I just couldn't get myself to like relax. So I just kind of stayed in a interested yet anxious state until we decided to leave.
Yeah, I could tell you were kind of uneasy, just chilling. You know, I was when I was laying there, like that's when it was just this come up, this like this super strong like come up feeling was like in my heart, like I was in so much strain and tense on my body, and I was just trying to be like I was being crushed by this wave of come up. Like it wouldn't even like how it passes over you. Like eventually it
Mhm.
just flows over you. You know, you let go of the strain. But I was just laying there on the dock, like holy shit, I need this to like let me loose. Like I was fucking struggling there, and
Yeah, I wasn't like I think you were maybe because you kept your tabs on your tongue that kind of helped you get along faster.
mhm.
But for me, I didn't really start to get hit with the like the exhaustion until we started walking back away from the dock. That's when how tired I was really set in.
I remember like laying there on the dock and I was looking up at the sky, and I pulled up this picture right here. Imagine this, but like not all the colors, right? Like just
Mhm.
translucent, just like the black line shapes, kind of like shimmering in the sky. Like that's what kind of the visuals I was getting at this point. And they
I
were
do get weird. Like I get when I trip, I usually get kaleidoscopic patterns, but I don't see them as clearly as I do when I look at clouds.
yeah. In the sky you can just your clouds are so malleable. I think that's the right term
Hmm.
with the drugs. Like you can shape them however you want, and that's even true at lower doses. At higher doses, like what we were on an acid, I could shape objects that way. I wasn't able to like create like a 3D like a whole new thing. I wasn't able to hallucinate like a shape, but I could
Right.
like morph things. Like I was able to mold things with my mind.
That's understandable. Yeah. I could agree. For me, it was mostly if there were patterns or designs on it, it was easier. A lot of solid objects, like just of one color with no texture or something, it was harder to manipulate. But if it had a lot of texture or was something like clouds that just are very fluffy and
Mhm.
malleable by nature,
A
it was a lot
solid
easier.
color, I think. A solid color really helps too, like the white and the solid blue. Like
Mhm.
I think I have easier time to like morph like things that are solid, like concrete or walls. Something like that is like a canvas.
Mhm.
Um, but really, like, there's not a lot of appreciation of the visuals at this point in the trip because it's just deadly hot, and Kirk's got to go, so we got to go. Kirk's on the constant hunt for air conditioning at this point in the trip. I remember you bringing up a few places we could go, but I was like, dude, it's like summer break, and we went to the library, and it was closed too. Like, there was
Yeah,
no getting out of the heat.
I I do like spending my time outside while tripping, but I was just uncomfortable with how thick the air was and how hot it was. It just
Mhm.
outside could fuck off for this trip. Maybe next time.
Maybe
But
on
for this time,
mescaline.
yeah, maybe on mescaline.
On
But for
mescaline,
this
we
time,
probably could have stayed out there. We probably would have died, actually. Yeah, we
there is
probably
a
would have
decent
died.
there is a decent chance because we didn't bring water with us or anything, did
No, we
we?
brought water. Yeah, we brought it like your bottle you used to
Oh,
always
okay.
drink out of. So I don't know how much that is. Probably like a fourth of a gallon.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Um, I don't know how much that is for our friends in the UK or Australia.
I'd
Only
probably
go over.
say give or take a liter somewhere in there.
Only, I can only visualize pints, so
Hmm,
probably like pint and a half.
maybe.
Do you know the term "mind your p's and q's"? Is a term about alcohol. Like they serve it in pints and quarts.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, crazy.
That is a fun fact.
Uh, so when we leave from the dock, we start walking, and we have to stop about every 150 feet to like catch our breath and drink water because we're like two out of shape middle aged men walking across the hot Sahara Desert. It's really just a pitiful, pitiful show. We eventually make it to like this kind of more shaded area campus, and we just kind of lay down. And uh, I don't know what you were experiencing at this point, but instead of visuals at this point, I just got the giggles so hard. I was laughing to myself so hard, and I was trying not to laugh out loud, just people think we're fucking nuts or something.
At this point, I wasn't getting a whole lot of things visually with my eyes open, but with my eyes closed, I was just surrounded by like swirling colors and patterns, and
Yeah,
I just wanted to like rest, let myself cool down, and let the LSD kick in a little bit more. Oh, while I just rested there.
I remember staring at the tree branches, and they were making these crazy like triangle shapes, like blending in with each other. It was really, really sweet, but I was mostly just losing my mind laughing. Just the absurdity of how like I remember at this trip I kept saying a lot of times like, "Damn, dude, we took too much acid. Like we fucked up. We fucked up." And really, we did. We took too much, like to go and be walking around in the heat.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
I mean, that was just so funny to me. I mean, I really wasn't concerned. I was just, having a good time. Uh, you mentioned something about like starting the walk back, and I was like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. Um, that would prove a lot more difficult than we thought. So at this point, like my feet are fucking killing me in these flip flops, and I rubbed myself a pretty good blister on one foot. And I mean, there's nothing left but to tough it out. I almost break down to call Kirk's roommate sometimes when we got lost. We ended up getting lost, and but we toughed it out. We toughed it out.
Well, like, so I remember later in the trip, you said like that could be a one of those in a trip. I'm trying to think of how to word this. There can be you like can pick up on the environment and the mood of the trip, and there can be these half second just like
Mm-hmm.
where everything's just like happy and normal, at least as normal as a trip goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this switch, and the mood got really creepy or really somber or kind of
Yeah.
scary. And you were saying like when we realized we were lost, that could have been one of those moments. For me personally, I was just uncomfortable. I knew if we followed that road, we would get there eventually. So I didn't care about like if we didn't know where we were, who cares? If we just keep walking this way, we'll eventually find
But at the same time, I was like, holy shit, I cannot walk that far. I gotta like fucking devise a plan so we just don't walk aimlessly because I could not make it that far, dude. I was dying by the time we made
it.
it back. Um, there was a point where we were walking in circles, like we didn't have any kind of bearing on where we were. Like
Mhm.
we were stopped kind of at a in the shade on like the sidewalk, and we were like, "Holy shit, dude, we're lost!" Like you said, it turned in like a somber moment, like really quick. Like it was, I wasn't really like super nervous, like scared, but my monkey man inside me was kind of like aware. Being
Oh, okay.
lost is not very good for the monkey man. You know what I mean? It was just being in a strange place, not knowing where you were. It was kind of the the very easy switch to the acid.
That makes a lot of sense. Like even though I didn't know where I was, I've seen that area dozens of times, whether it's me driving around campus or just walking from somewhere. Um, that maybe that's part of why I didn't really like the whole being lost. Like that was still a familiar environment to me, so it wasn't that big of a deal that I didn't know where I was. I at
Um,
least knew landmarks.
when we eventually like kind of get our bearing, and I remember this now. Yeah, we're going the right way. We had to walk by like the pig pen. We walked through the valley of the shadow of death, past the pigs, and eventually made it out. Thank the Lord, base God, and looking out for us. We Like, holy shit, dude! I have never been so tired walking before. My feet were fucking dead. And you're like, you were the fastest fuck in flip flops I have ever seen in my goddamn life. Like, you run an NFL 40 in your damn flip flops with your 8 feet shoe. Is like your walk is at least a yard long, like between paces, and you were just booking it to get inside.
My roommate recently went to this produce market and he got these peaches that were god tier. And as I'm walking back, I am not I think I'm going a normal walking pace, but I have those peaches in my mind, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do as soon as I walk in. And I think that's why like just that motivation is what's causing me to go faster and
I'm
faster.
about to tear up that peach when I get back, boy. That's what he was going through his mind. I mean, I understood. I mean, on acid, it's kind of hard to understand each other's feelings and whatnot, like what's going through each other's minds. You know, that's why it's good to trip with someone similar to you. But I mean, I wanted to go inside because I knew you were uneasy. But at the same time, my inner monkey man, he doesn't like being inside on acid, really.
Huh. Do you think
And
like so is he starting to reveal himself with all psychedelics, or is it only so far like acid and mescaline?
I feel like I'm more getting in touch with him. Like I'm understanding his, views more. And it really
Hmm.
set it off with that mescaline trip. But now I'm feeling him in more of my trips.
Okay.
But I guess it's something about being in an enclosed space that kind of just upsets him.
Okay.
That's what I would blame it on. Just being enclosed. Like, I mean, you nobody likes to, in the most abstract sense, no one likes to be confined, right? No one
Right.
wants to be imprisoned. You want to have like open places to escape and run away. But when you're inside this weird structure that your monkey man really doesn't understand, I think it's uncomfortable.
So, about how far into the trip would you be comfortable with going inside? Or, if possible, would you like to spend the entire trip outside?
I think on acid, I would prefer to spend the majority outside. Like
Okay.
up till like, I mean, at a certain point, you have to come back inside. But I think I would enjoy more of an outside pretty much throughout the trip.
I
But
mean, provided we found cool stuff to see, um, or even cool areas to be like, I definitely wouldn't mind being outside. We just need to check the humidity fucking next
yeah,
time.
um, so to ease the move, when we get inside, I kind of like to open up the porch door and kind of like ease my way back inside, like kind of sit on the edge of the door and kind of move in, and eventually I'm cooled down and adjusted to the room's temperature enough where I can be comfortable where I am.
Okay.
And then when I was comfortable enough, in the room, I was comfortable enough to jump in the shower and cool off even more.
Oh yeah, I forgot that that was a fantastic shower. It was
Mm-hmm.
really weird because I kept forgetting what I was doing, but it was still it was just like so relaxing and so nice to feel all the water, just the warm, well, not so much warm, but just like lukewarm water. It was above cold, but still refreshing.
uh, yeah, I remember just like I remember that shower feeling like incredible, incredible. Like after I was done, I was like, dude, that's gonna be a great thing. You're gonna love it. It was. I remember just dressing and just about to jump in the shower, just looking at myself, and just like I had the biggest like fit of the giggles, dude. Like I was laughing crazy, like just losing my mind over nothing. It was so funny. I
That's
remember like like looking at yourself, and I was like, damn, I look weird as fuck. I look like an old Asian man. I could not get over how I looked. And it was just so funny to me. I mean, it was hilarious.
I think with that's enviable. With the amount we were on, I was past like the fit of the giggles. I was too I don't know, it was too much of a strain to muster the energy that it took to laugh. Like I'd rather just sit there and melt into my environment than laugh because it like cracking my stomach and exhaling, probably a little head movement. I don't know, too much, too much.
Acid is like a damn benzo to you, dude. Like it puts you to fucking bed almost.
Well, I think it's like I was just so over.
Exhausted.
I mean, there was as weird as it's going to sound, the exhaustion from the amount of stimulated strain and the heat was one big aspect of it. But also, I was overstimulated, like in terms of lie. Um, everything was so okay. Here's how I'll put it. With the lower doses that we've had and the lighter trips we've had, the 150s, the 2s, the 225s, you are very focused on like the colors changing and some of the art that I have around here. Because that
Yeah.
is the most incredible thing that's happening that trip. That's the most interesting and that's the most eye catching. So that's what you care about the most. I felt like at this level, more things were more interesting and more incredible uh, than just the colors changing on some paintings. So it was really difficult for me to get lost in the visuals like I normally do because there were just, I mean, while I would still consider them visuals, they were of a different nature, something I hadn't dealt with before. And those are
Mm-hmm.
what was taking precedent over what I normally would look at and be lost in, which is art.
Your roommate comes over and he's like, "So how's this trip doing?" Like I guess he knew we took acid. He didn't realize how much we took. And he's like, "So what are you guys seeing? Like what is on this painting?" And he's like pointing his painting. I'm like, "Dude, who gives a fuck about this painting? Look at my goddamn monkey arms. Like my arms were like I've kind of gotten a more sense of it, but I mean, it's a repeating psychedelic thing I have where my arms kind of turn reptilian. I would call them like kind of like a baby skin, like on a fucking reptile. I would say, and super super fucking like offsetting. But I was like, who gives a fuck about like those repeating symmetrical textures? Like the crazy shit is like when stuff turns like completely alien.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that.
I don't know if you can see this picture I pulled up, but this is like the greatest rendition of like grass on acid. Like amazing.
Oh, I've seen this picture before. There's a subreddit called Replications, and it's people that use Photoshop to simulate uh, what different visuals look like on different drugs, and they make like videos and gifs and pictures, and some of them are fucking spot on.
Like goddamn, some people are good as shit at this. I don't know how
Yeah,
like how much you have to take to just, or maybe it's like a drawing while they're on the substance. I don't know. I mean,
that's probably true, but I feel like that'd be super complicated as well because like the shit would be moving around. It'd be hard to figure out like,
yeah.
oh, this is what it looks like.
Can you hear that?
A little bit. It just sounds like muffled talking.
Yeah, somebody's fucking yelling in the kitchen. God damn it. Um, but we just sit in the living room, and I mean I felt more chill during the acid experience. Like during the acid experience, it's almost opposite of like a shroom like level. Like you take shrooms up to a certain point, you know, it's funny, just to like boom, like serious. Acid is almost like the smaller amount you take is the more uneasy experience you're gonna have. Like it was strenuous the more you took, but I felt more calm. I felt
Huh.
kind of more relaxed, and I
That's
think that was just
interesting.
because my mind was so occupied.
Huh. That's really interesting. See, I as I've said before, I never get that like I mean, I don't think I'll stick to 100 microgram trips, but I think I'm probably going to average at about 2 or 225. At this level, and this is what I meant to bring up. At this level, I couldn't sink into the mindset that I usually sink into and really enjoy when I'm on acid. Um, I can't really explain it. I feel like I really enjoy thinking about connections and relationships for just all kinds of things. But for this trip,
Mhm.
I couldn't get into that flow. I feel like I was too stimulated by the environment to get into a good thought pattern. But
There
I
was
don't know.
like there was a I mean, of course, like during the peak of this trip, like it was super hard to form words. Like we were stupid, like stupid toasted, and so it
Mhm.
was hard to talk when we started coming down later, like later on the afternoon, smoking a bowl. Like I felt like we could communicate better and have those ideas form, like cultivating ideas like that.
Mhm.
Really, like we tried to communicate about like time and like forgetting ideas and shit like that, and it was way too much to comprehend, especially to my monkey man. No, but even to my like my conscious brain. I mean, it was too hard to focus. Like time was so absurd. uh I mean, we were really just stupid. That's all I can think of, like, to say.
Yeah, I had a really difficult time communicating, specifically when either Alex or my roommate they would ask me a question, but if the question involved me having to think to the past, having to pull on
Yeah,
memories, it would just completely scramble my head. While I
you
was
got
tripping,
you got into this fucking like paradoxal, like you would think about the past and get lost in the past and try to think about something else and completely lose. Like I understood what you were saying at the time, but it was so like unlike relatable. I couldn't process it.
Yeah, I mean, I had to really sit and think about it for, I have no idea how long, but
40 minutes.
I had to really sit and think about what was going on and like what the triggers were and how come these kind of questions were fucking me up, but these weren't. And what the conclusion I came to is I was at a high enough level of LSD that if I was pulling on a memory, the LSD was like trying to recreate the memory in the environment. So I was like, I wanted to say jokes and comments from that memory in the
Mhm.
moment with the conversation I was having. So like it was kind of finding conversations where I would be talking to Alex, a week ago, but because of the question he asked me, I'm trying to also have the conversation that I had in that memory. So like things are blending and combining in ways that just don't logically make sense, and I can't communicate that.
um at some point, like I'm like, damn, my foot fucking hurts from that blister, and I popped two hydros, two hydrocodones to come down. You not to come down, but to like mellow out my come down, because I always have a problem when the LSD come down.
Hmm.
But I popped these two hydros, and I mean, like it made all the difference. Like it set me off right. Like I was cool and relaxed. It did bring me down some, especially
Okay,
like visually, but I was still in the acid mindset.
that's good. Like yeah, well, for me anyway, I love that mindset. You just talked about the visuals. One of the things that I really enjoy doing, while tripping on acid is I love to sit and just without moving, stare at one object and just go into a thought loop because I
Hmm.
can still enjoy the thought loop. But the more I realize I don't move, even keeping my eyes fixated in the same position, the stronger and more intense the hallucinations I see become. So
Hmm.
if I really want like while tripping, I can turn, look at the picture, and see a bit of movement. But if I just lay down and stare at that picture without moving, then every second the visuals are just crazier and crazier and crazier, and they just keep building. I
Yeah.
realized it was very difficult to do this with this trip. I don't know if it's because I was overstimulated by everything in the environment that not one thing could hold my attention for that long,
Hmm.
or if it was because I was just literally too stimulated from the LSD being a stimulant.
When we usually take acid and try to like watch TV, uh, I've always had uncomfortable time watching TV just because it was so absurd to me. Like I couldn't focus on it. Like I couldn't morph it with my mind. Like you know how you morph clouds. Like I wasn't able to fucking like move that box with people in it from my monkey man's perspective.
Mm.
But it was just really offsetting. I mean, I don't know. Like it was impossible to focus on it just because I couldn't understand it. But this trip, when I started to mellow out, we turned on YouTube, and like, I mean, it was just fun to like watch the rabbit hole of videos we were on.
That's true.
We pulled up this YouTuber called Matt Stoney, and I remember looking at this dude. He's a competitive eater. He's like a small Asian man, like 120 pounds, but he can eat fucking a tank.
Yeah, I that's part of why I usually don't like going through the rabbit hole of YouTube videos. I usually stick to the sub box just because the related videos suck, usually. But with this guy, like he is a small Asian man. In one of his videos, he eats like 18 pounds of chicken curry rice. Like he is a goddamn eating machine,
It
and it's just
was
amazing to watch.
it was so fucking uncomprehendable how he eats so much in that mindset. Like even now sober, but at that time it blew my fucking mind how this dude could put so much substance in his body. Like it was fucking
I mean, it was
incredible.
amazing. It was amazing in a few different ways. Some of those ways being like how he physically was able to just pack that much food into his body. It seemed like his chest would get more round as he continued eating. So it gives
It
the
looked like he
illusion.
got fatter. He like got fatter titties every time he eat. Like,
It gives the illusion that like his stomach is the size of his torso. So like as he's eating, he's just filling up his entire torso. It was also amazing to think how he was still alive. No
yeah,
human should be able to eat some of the stuff he eats and survives.
and still be alive. He should have been dead. Fucking, he eats like 2.5 boxes of cereal. Like incredible stuff, incredible stuff. But I remember like being more on acid, looking at him, and I remember he just like everybody looks weird on acid, but I couldn't figure out if he was like Asian or Mexican. American. I couldn't fucking figure it out, dude. He just looked like he was like a new race and a race of man who eats everything. But I remember these videos, like I was fucking dying, like laughing. Like this is the funniest fucking YouTube rabbit hole I've ever been down.
I
Uh,
definitely agree to that. We alternated. At one point, we switched to Shoe Nice, which was entertaining in its own way, but also kind of sad. Uh, but it was still entertaining.
caught up in the psychology of Shoe Nice on acid. Like I was like, what is this dude just kind of fucked up, and I just can't figure out why. Like, what is fucking this dude up? But it was so funny to watch him like polish off bottles of liquor and eat cactuses and eat stink bait.
He played fucking Chubby Bunny with habanero peppers.
It was like being a kid and watching laughing off of watching somebody hurt themselves.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. That's actually almost exactly what it was like.
But I swear we watched YouTube 12 hours. Not
It,
even like gonna fucking lie.
it was a significant amount of time.
We watched it from like I can't even fucking like 8
When
o'clock to like 4 a.m.
Yeah, like when we got back, which would be around what, 10, 11?
I remember we got back and I felt like we had been gone for like 6, 7 hours, and we had been gone for like 2.5 hours, and I was like, oh my god, dude! Like I couldn't I was like, we time traveled, man. No fucking way, we time traveled.
I was not as blown away because I set an alarm. My goal was to peek outside. The last time I peeked inside, I didn't even take 300 micrograms. That trip got fucking intense. So I figured there was no way I could peek inside on 360 micrograms or 350. So I wanted to peek outside, and I set an alarm to go off as soon as the peak should be at least hit. So by the time we get back to the room, we're on the other side of it. So I was just counting down the hours till when we can go back in.
I remember like I know I've said this acid trip was kind of easier in a sense, in a mind sense. Uh, but it was still, it still had that acid fuckiness to it. Like it was off. Like it was the world flipped around. I remember saying something like, being on this much acid is like realizing your life is a TV show and just having to continue live. Like just looking around and you're on the like you're on the biggest episode of Punk'd ever, right? And it just ends and you're like, what do I do now? It was just like living and everybody knowing what's going on, but just refusing to acknowledge it. Yeah,
That's really funny.
I mean that's the uncomfortable part of acid, really. Some people just can't handle that, and I feel like when our buddy tried it, he couldn't handle that either.
Yeah, I think so.
You gotta
I
really be a special person to fucking deal with that shit.
I think so. Like, although I feel like a lot of people, I know my roommate, the girl, she has shown some interest. Like, she does ask questions about it, but she's like really worried that she's just gonna freak out on it. But I tell her like,
And go nuts.
yeah, but I tell her like, you can start small enough that you're gonna be uncomfortable because there's gonna be no visuals and a lot of stimulation, but you won't fucking freak out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most people can baby step their way up to being able to handle like a 1 or a 150 trip.
I feel like this picture I got here is a good representation of like seeing eyes. More scary than I'm going at, but definitely.
I get the idea. That's interesting. I wonder if other people like if seeing eyes is a common thing.
I think it is a common thing, like seeing eyes and being like hyper aware.
See, if I had to compare like what kind of being I become once tripping on LSD, I would say more of either a philosopher or like a monk in a temple years ago. That's kind of where I'm going. Like, I'm not early man, but I'm still not in modern day. I'm just like, I love to sit and just think about the world around me. I'd probably go like an 18th century philosopher.
I've talked about my monkey man significantly, but I don't think I've ever made the connection like known. I believe my monkey man is my subconscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, this is just a way for me to interpret it, but my subconscious is just speaking at the most general needs to me, like survival, blah blah blah, and I'm interpreting it as like being an early man.
That's understandable. One of the things I like to sit and think about every time I take LSD is I feel like your body, specifically your brain, can more clearly communicate with you how it feels. Like it's giving you diagnostics checkups on your body, and it can tell you like how you're doing, and the acid gives you or helps you interpretate your own diagnostics test.
Yeah.
So it is very up to interpretation, but I definitely believe it.
I remember after watching all these people like eat cactuses and shit and stink bait and pounds and pounds of rice and burgers to kill a large man. But I remember we were like, probably need to eat some dinner, and I had some pizza left over, and I just like was not hungry at all. And that's a general thing with acid, not being hungry. But I mean, like, I didn't feel like eating at all. Like after such a long day, you feel like you would muster something to eat. But damn.
It's understandable, like the temperature of the day and the strain we had on our body didn't really leave you wanting food. But I still ate the shit out of those peaches. Like I love plants. When is there a situation going on over there?
No, somebody fucking knocked at the goddamn front door. It's not my door,
Huh.
dude. Go ahead.
I mean, well, still, if it's like
I
okay,
mean,
fair enough.
if I can fucking figure out.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Um, what was I talking about? Acid. You can unmute yourself. I don't know, or I lost my train of thought. I apologize.
I was just gonna leave you out there to fight for yourself. Really? I mean, we about 15 hours out. Where like I feel like I'm down enough to smoke a bowl and feel something. Because up to like 12 hours, smoking like weed is just like fucking. You might as well throw it in the fucking fire and burn it. It's not even use. You're
Yeah,
not gonna calm down, especially on what we are.
I,
So
th- I think at one point we did smoke like I don't know a couple hours after we got back to the room. I felt
I
the
don't
I
think
get
we did at all. I don't think we smoked. I was turned off to smoking at this trip.
I fair enough. I remember smoking though at one point.
We
I
smoked
think
early.
did we smoke twice then?
No, we smoked early and we smoked late.
Okay. Then when we smoked early, I remember turning to you and saying, like, after 10 minutes, I could 100% feel when the marijuana had been completely overpowered by the LSD. Like, normally when you smoke and you go from sober to just Mary Jane high to back to sober, the lines can be kind of fuzzy for a few minutes. But with this, I immediately knew after, I don't know, 10, 11 minutes after smoking that, yeah, well, I wasted that weed. It's all gone now.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a pain to try to smoke so much and not feel anything on the acid. But I mean, I was really good about not trying to smoke this trip. Not falling to my temptations. I mean, I feel like the only thing you get when you smoke weed on acid is paranoid. That's the only thing you're
uh,
gonna get is paranoid. The worst thing the weed has, you're gonna get it.
that makes a lot of sense. I can understand that. I know. I mean, personally, I don't get super paranoid, but at the same time, I don't smoke a ton. I usually just take a couple puffs to kind of fog myself up a little bit. But within I don't know 10, 15 minutes, I'm back to being sober,
I mean,
or wet hole acid sober.
I don't ever get paranoid on weed, but weed and LSD is unique. Like that's a whole nother drug. It's
Huh.
just it sets it off in a whole different way. Like weed I've never had. Like it's weed I've never experienced before.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, we
What
trip.
was pretty cool? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, what was pretty cool is when we smoked late when we decided to smoke again at night. Um, It had been very late, probably midnight, 1 in the morning, somewhere in there. And after sharing a couple very small bowls, it completely restarted the acid trip for me. I was seeing the same visuals as if like maybe an hour or two post peak. That's where I was at. Same mind space or same headspace, same visuals, same feel of like, oh shit, I just jump started this acid trip. But like I said, when that weed kind of filtered itself through and thinned out, then my acid trip also started to thin out. So I could spike it with little hits of Mary, but as long as the Mary stayed in my system, that's as long as the trip prolonged.
Yeah, I remember it being like 16 hours out and smoking, and I felt like I was the visuals that kind of kicked down on the acid, probably because of the hydros. But I remember when I hit
Yeah.
that bowl, like it really kicked up some dust, like on this acid trip. It really
Oh
brought back the
yeah.
visuals. It was, I mean, it was nice to have so far down the come down, just to bring it back a little bit. But
It was cool to like get a little grasp of it before it left again.
I mean, that was pretty much the entirety of the trip. We watched YouTube till like 4 a.m. and I was like, God damn it, we need to go to bed.
Yeah, I was up late as fuck.
I remember closing. I mean, I closed my eyes and I was seeing like spinning rainbow fans, and I was like, "Holy shit! I don't think I'm going to be able to fall asleep." But I did. I passed out the fucking kaleidoscope rainbows.
I did too. I usually toss and turn for a while in bed, but with this, I was able to pass out. I'm not going to say easily, but I didn't toss and turn in bed as long as I wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I didn't really toss and turn as much as I usually do. When I tried to go to sleep, I did go to sleep. So that helped, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it did.
But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the acid trip in its entirety. It was a good trip. It
It
was
was a good
very
trip.
about acid in general.
I just love thinking about it while I'm high on it. I just love thinking about it and learning like more properties of it that I can use to like I guess communicate with myself. It's a really cool chemical. I enjoyed this trip, but for a while I've been climbing, 152, 225, 253. Now this is like 350. I'm excited to hit like a 150, a 200 trip again. I want to see what kind of start difference because I've just been going up. So I'm really excited. Or I'm really interested to see what a significantly smaller dosage will do. What kind of trip
Yeah,
that'll create.
I definitely think what we took 350. I don't want to say too much, because it was handled. It was able to be handled. It wasn't something like I lost my sense of like a ego or anything. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I could handle it. It may. I don't know if somebody else at like a lower extent, like maybe. I don't think like a normal person would be able to handle this much. But
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're not, and we've mentioned this before, we're not veterans of the fucking 60s. We're just a couple college guys that have been tripping for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, something like that. Maybe not even that long. Um, but we've built up enough experience that this trip, while again not unhandleable, um, it was still a strong dose. Which I read trip reports on specifically Reddit, but on different drug forums as well, about people that have 600 microgram trips, 800 microgram trips, 1,000 microgram trips, and I can't even imagine that. That seems like so out of the realm of possibility for me. But who knows? Maybe in a few years after I have like some good time and experience dancing with
maybe you
Lucy.
fuck up one time and like drink a vial of 400 micrograms. That. Um, I feel like a lot of the stories are bullshit. Who takes that much acid? That's a fuck ton of acid. Who has their hands on that much?
I don't want to be condescending, but I kind of feel like when I see, especially some of these trip reports where people write out what they experienced on 750 micrograms, I can't help but think like they were lied to about how strong their tabs are.
Yeah.
There's just no fucking way. Like at 700 or 750, this is what you're experiencing. When
You
I'd
probably
say
wouldn't talk about it. I mean, I probably wouldn't talk about it. That's probably something like it'd be very difficult to speak about.
I bet it would. I bet it'd be difficult to articulate what happened, and I mean, yeah, I bet it would just be hard to talk about.
And we're gonna talk about this in Cinema Anima, but in 2001: Space Odyssey, when the main guy is being shown the knowledge of the universe, it just shows up as funky colors to him, and he just like has the fucking weirdest faces, like he mind melts, and he just can't understand any of it. And I feel
Huh.
like that is kind of really, it's kind of symbolic to someone taking like that much acid. Like your mind isn't prepared for it.
There's how could you even prepare yourself for something like that?
But
That's insane.
but enough of that. Good episode. Hopefully, looking forward to some more episodes in the future. Lord willing, and the drugs come.
Okay, yeah. So to get a few things out there, I think mescaline is going to happen really soon. Mescaline on the beach specifically, which I am incredibly excited for. I'm trying to track down some 2CE. It's proving difficult, but I don't know. That's still in the air. We'll have to see. Now,
you're not gonna promise anything, but it's in the air.
Oh, so did you hear about the new bill that got passed in the UK? I think it's either a bill or a law. It's a psychoactive.
Yeah, they didn't they make like a lot of things legal?
Yeah, no, the opposite. They made a ton of things illegal.
Oh, really?
The way the bill is drafted, essentially any kind of drug or substance could be considered a psychoactive substance and is viable to be banned by the UK government. I haven't looked into it super hard, but I know when I have bought different research chemicals in the past, like 1-PLSD, ALLAD, trying to think of what else. There's a few others, but those have come from the UK. Now that these are made illegal, I don't know how much harder it's going to become to find those chemicals. You used to be able to just go to a fucking website, put in your credit card info, and then have drugs mailed to you from England.
Yeah.
But now, like with that bill passed, I know we were talking about taking 4-ACO-DMT and 4-HO-MET. But that might be harder to get our hands on now since the fucking ban got enacted.
Yeah, I mean, they're making a lot of money off those synthetic drugs, so I don't think they're going to stop. It's just going to move to a new place.
I'd like to think so, because if it'd be a real pain in the ass to shift your entire operation from one country to another. But I feel like in Germany, for example, it's not illegal to sell some of this stuff. I just really want to make sure we can try 4-ACO-DMT and 4-HO-MET before those become officially difficult to find.
Yeah, we'll try to get our hands on them.
I know, actually.
I think fucking Daryl's party's going lit af, so might want to wrap it up.
Okay. But yeah, I guess I'm done saying what I wanted to say then.
I mean, there's more to be said about the politics of the world and the drug war, but we're gonna leave that to your friendly news reporters. Thanks for listening. Coming in another time.